Whatever your sun, moon, or rising sign, there is a message in the sky waiting for you. This is Horoscope TV, your essential guide to astrology.
Welcome back to Horoscope TV.
Okay, everyone.
So today we are really diving deep into the year ahead for one of the most serious-driven signs of the zodiac.
Oh, definitely. The sign of authority, of ambition, and structure.
If you are Capricorn, you're going to want to listen to this. I mean, buckle up because 2026 is shaping up to be absolutely pivotal for your long-term plans.
It's a monumental year, but not in a flashy, temporary success kind of way. It's more about structural integrity.
Right.
We've analyzed all the major transits, the eclipses, the big planetary shifts, and the message for Capricorn is just crystal clear.
And what's that?
This year is less about chasing those quick wins and much, much more about building a lasting legacy. It's about making sure your foundations are, absolutely unshakable.
That immediately sounds like the ultimate Capricorn agenda. No frivolous detours, just blueprints and long-term construction.
Exactly.
So our mission today is really to explore how this intense energy unfolds for you, the Capricorn listener, across all the big areas: career, money, love, and wellness.
And we need to understand not just what happens, but why the universe is forcing these foundational commitments right now.
Yeah.
If you look at the big picture, the theme is profound maturity. I mean, every major decision you make this year, from your career path to your love life, it's all viewed through this lens of security and commitment.
So you have to define your roots before you can define your reach.
Perfectly put. The intensity is high, but the potential payoff, a completely redefined sense of your own personal authority, is even higher.
Okay, let's start where the year starts, with a bust of undeniable, focused power.
The sprint.
We have to talk about the massive, just undeniable head start that Capricorn gets in 2026. This first phase, let's call it the executive sprint, runs from January 1st to January 23rd.
It's a tremendous advantage, strategically speaking.
And that's all because of Mars, right? The planet of drive, of energy, is moving directly through your sign.
Exactly. Mars is raw action, but when it enters Capricorn, it gets this calculated, patient quality, incredible stamina.
So it's not chaotic ambition, it's like weaponized competence.
It is. This placement gives you the endurance of a marathon runner, not just a short-distance sprinter. It's targeted, disciplined energy that you can absolutely rely on.
I really want to emphasize how critical this 3-week window is. This is the power window. It is truly the most productive period of the entire year.
Of the whole year. And the reason why is because the energy isn't just internal, it's projected outward.
What does that mean in practical terms?
Well, Mars is transiting your first house of self, personality, and your physical body. So this means you look, feel, and act the part of a leader.
Okay.
Your presence commands respect instantly. You're more physically magnetic, you're more authoritative in meetings, and your ability to execute really difficult multi-step projects is just at peak performance.
Wow.
You gain the stamina and, frankly, the necessary ego boost to push through obstacles that would normally take months of prep.
So the application here is immediate and direct. If you've been dragging your feet on a tough project where you need to beat a competitor to the punch,
This is the time.
or even interviewing for a major leadership position, or setting a strong physical baseline, like a rigorous workout plan, this is the critical time to start.
It is. The discipline you establish in these first 3 weeks will carry the momentum for the next 11 months.
And the energy also helps with recovery time.
It does.
Yeah.
Mars can often lead to burnout. But because Capricorn is so skilled at structure, you actually recover faster from intense effort during this period. You can sustain a higher level of performance with less downtime. It's the optimal window.
And right in the middle of that ambitious sprint, there's a key date that sets the professional tone. January 18th, the new moon in Capricorn.
This is your real personal new year, not January 1st.
Right.
While everyone else is, already giving up on their resolutions, you're planting seeds of concrete professional ambition. The new moon gives you the blueprint, and Mars provides the construction crew.
So this is the day to sit down, write out a 12-month intention list focused entirely on professional advancement, public standing, personal mastery.
And because Mars is still fueling that fire, those intentions get instant, noticeable momentum. They aren't just wishes. They're executable plans.
Okay, that sets a powerful professional tone, but then things shift. They shift dramatically in February. We move into phase 2, building the base.
Yes, and this is a move from that personal drive of Mars to the heavy foundational pressure of your ruling planet, Saturn. This is a massive defining shift for the entire decade.
The entire decade? Wow.
Indeed. On February 13th, Saturn, the lord of structure, discipline, and responsibility, it moves out of Pisces and enters Aries, landing squarely in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and foundations.
And this isn't a short-term thing.
Not at all. This lasts for approximately 2.5 years, and it will fundamentally reorient your priorities.
Okay, but hang on. I have to push back on that a little. Because, Capricorn is already the most structured sign. Saturn is their ruler.
Right.
So doesn't Saturn landing in the 4th house just feel like more weight? Just another burden of responsibility on their shoulders? I mean, how do they not just get paralyzed by all of that?
That is the perfect critical analysis, and it's the central challenge of this transit. The weight is immense, yes, but it's purposeful.
What do you mean, purposeful?
Saturn demands self-mastery. For you, Capricorn, to achieve that next level of public authority, the 10th house stuffs Saturn. Saturn insists that you first have to secure the base. The 4th house.
It's a cosmic forcing mechanism.
Exactly. If the foundations are shaky, the skyscraper will crumble. This transit means your career success now depends entirely on the stability, organization, and peace you create at home.
So if you're out there chasing external validation while your home life is in chaos, Saturn steps in and basically says, fix this first, or I am restricting your upward mobility.
That's precisely it. It fundamentally changes the definition of success for the next 2 years. The focus shifts from external validation titles, promotions, public praise, to internal security.
So what are the real-world applications of this? What does this look like?
We expect a high number of Capricorns to get into the real estate market, commit to a major home renovation that fixes structural weaknesses, or spend significant time setting up a permanent, functional home office.
An office that really delineates work from personal life.
Crucially.
But what about people who aren't buying property, renters, or people in more transitional phases?
For renters, this might mean securing a long-term lease, committing to staying in one city, or dedicating serious energy to transforming a shared space into a personal sanctuary.
It's about psychological roots.
It's about psychological and emotional roots, even if the physical structure is temporary. This transit forces you to decide where you belong.
And the other major implication here is caregiving and family, isn't it? The 4th house governs roots and ancestors.
Precisely. This can signal taking on serious responsibility related to your family lineage. It could mean caring for aging parents, managing a complex family estate, or maybe fully transitioning to running a family business from home. Saturn here demands you meet these responsibilities head-on, or they become severe restrictions later. You can't run from your past or your family obligations under this transit.
It sounds incredibly grounding, but the emotional cost could be pretty high. So that need for an organized sanctuary becomes everything.
It's absolutely critical. This is the key wellness implication. Because Saturn puts pressure on your roots, stress will hit you so much harder if your home environment is unstable, cluttered, or emotionally draining.
So you have to create a calm, organized space.
You must prioritize it, a space where you can genuinely discharge professional pressure. Without that peaceful base, the potential for professional burnout just skyrockets, and your sleep quality will suffer dramatically.
So the foundation you build in February doesn't just support your family, it supports your professional future. If your house is a mess, your career will eventually reflect that.
You are building a legacy, and that legacy has to stand on solid ground.
Okay, so let's transition from securing your base to the financial realities of 2026. This year is marked by some really intense earning potential and massive leveraging opportunities.
Yes, and we have 2 very distinct financial phases here. There's the initial hustle phase that leads to a financial reset, and then a shift toward big-picture wealth accumulation in the summer.
So let's look at phase 1, the income reset, which is January and February, right after that initial energy surge.
Right. Following that Mars sprint, all that Capricorn drives gets focused immediately onto your worth and your personal cash flow. January 1st to 23rd is your peak hustle phase for earning.
So if you're employed, you're aggressively proving your value, asking for the big projects.
And creating a clear argument for a raise. If you're freelance, you're pitching constantly, raising your prices, and setting a high financial precedent right out of the gate while your negotiation skills are sharpest.
The idea is to set a high bar because the universe is about to lock in a new financial standard for you.
Yes. And the culmination of that hustle is a massive cosmic event hitting your paycheck sector, the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th.
And this hits your second house of earned income.
Correct, which governs your salary, your personal savings, your self-worth. Eclipses always signal a major new chapter, often suddenly and definitively. This is a massive financial reset.
It feels like the moment all the hard work from that January sprint gets quantified. But what does this financial reset actually look like for a Capricorn in real life?
It often manifests as a new job offer that significantly improves your compensation, or receiving that big raise you advocated for, or successfully launching a profitable side hustle that moves really quickly from just a hobby to a real income stream.
It's about moving away from stagnant ways of making money.
Exactly. The money coming in now feels fresh, it feels aligned with your current higher valuation, and it often requires a whole new approach to managing your personal budget. You've successfully redefined your worth in the market.
So you start the year with a professional breakthrough, which quickly leads to a financial breakthrough. But the real structural wealth accumulation happens later in the summer.
Right. Now we move into phase 2, the wealth expansion, from late June through August. This is about leveraging existing assets. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, enters Leo on June 30th.
And that hits your 8th house of investments, debt, and shared assets.
This is the strategic leverage transit, and we need to be clear about the difference here. The second house is the money you earn and control your salary. The 8th house is other people's money.
Loans, mortgages, inheritance.
Your spouse's income, investments.
Yeah.
And Jupiter expands whatever it touches. In the 8th house, it expands your capacity to handle large sums of external capital.
Our data calls this the windfall transit, which suggests major financial favor. So why are banks and lenders more likely to favor Capricorn during the summer period?
Because the 8th house governs institutions and complex financial relationships. For about a year, you are highly favored in matters involving banks, the IRS, insurance companies, venture capitalists.
So your applications just look stronger.
They do. Jupiter's influence smooths the path for securing funding. Your debt-to-income ratio appears more favorable, and the terms you get for loans are often much better than you'd expect.
The opportunities here sound massive. Applying for business loans, securing venture capital, refinancing a mortgage at a better rate.
Or even settling a difficult tax or legal matter in your favor. And we have to consider partnerships, too. This transit often means a partner's income increases significantly, or you merge assets and investments, resulting in major financial security.
It's about leveraging mutual resources to create a bigger pool of wealth.
A much bigger, more influential pool than you could have created alone.
That sounds great, but I have to challenge this a bit because the 8th house also deals with major debt and, intense psychological complexity. How do Capricorns make sure they aren't just leveraging themselves into a bigger, more complex whole here?
That's a crucial caveat. Jupiter naturally encourages optimism. And in the 8th house, that can lead to over-leveraging, taking on debt that's too big or too complicated.
So there's a real risk of overextension.
There is. You have to rely on your natural Saturnian structure here.
Yeah.
The opportunity is to use strategic debt used to acquire assets or fuel business growth.
Yeah.
But you must be rigorously calculating. If you take on debt for frivolous spending, Jupiter will only expand the problem.
Okay, so maintain that disciplined oversight. And if that wasn't enough high-stakes financial drama, we have the culmination of all this on August 12th.
Yes. The total solar eclipse in Leo, still in that powerful 8th house. This is the apex.
An eclipse plus Jupiter's influence.
It's incredibly potent. It often catalyzes a sudden, definitive, and unexpected financial event that just changes your net worth immediately.
So what's the biggest difference between the February eclipse in the 2nd house and this August eclipse in the 8th?
The February one is a steady, earned increase of raise, a new job with better cash flow. The August one is an immediate, often surprising net worth boost that doesn't necessarily relate to your daily work.
So it could be unexpected funding, a huge commission.
An inheritance that gets finalized, or a strategic investment that pays out. And crucially, it could also be about paying off a massive liability, like a student loan or major credit card debt, in one single go.
And that would free up your cash flow and change your entire fiscal outlook overnight.
Exactly. So the financial journey of 2026 moves you from hustling for a higher salary in January to strategically leveraging external capital and feeling genuinely wealthy by the end of summer.
It's profound preparation for that foundation Saturn is demanding.
A deliberate and profound shift. It's compelling you, Capricorn, to move past just earning a living and toward building substantial leveraged wealth that supports the legacy you're defining.
And that focus on security and foundations spills right into the romantic realm. 2026 brings some very serious structure-defining romantic vibes.
It really does. This is not a year for casual flings. It's a year for serious commitments that support that foundational legacy we keep talking about.
The data shows a pretty clear progression in relationships, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It moves from lighthearted, enjoyable romance in the spring to deep, soul-bonding intimacy by summer. And then it culminates in a necessary commitment audit in the autumn.
Okay, let's start with phase one, the spring awakening, from March 30th to May 16th. This is Venus, planet of love, in Taurus, hitting your 5th house of true love and romance.
This is the golden ticket for single Capricorns and a deep breath for partnered ones.
Golden ticket.
It is. The 5th house is about joy and dating. When Venus is in Taurus, a fellow Earth sign, the energy is incredibly harmonious. It's sensual, it's stable, and it encourages quality over quantity.
So why does this transit make the often reserved Capricorn more affectionate and attractive?
Because that Taurus energy just softens your edges. Capricorn, which can sometimes be guarded or preoccupied with work, just relaxes and opens up to enjoyment.
So you attract partners who appreciate that steady nature.
And who enjoy creature comforts and stability. It's the best time of the year for first dates because the atmosphere is calm and sensual, not high drama. April, in particular, is one of the sweetest months for initiating connections.
Sounds like a perfect balance. And the key date here is May 16th, the new moon in Taurus.
A powerful fresh start in romance. This is the perfect day for setting clear intentions, not just wishing for a partner, but defining the concrete qualities and values you need for a lasting commitment.
And for partnered Capricorns.
It's a wonderful opportunity to actively reignite the spark by prioritizing pleasure and shared sensuality.
Now, similar to the money section, the romance gets much deeper and more demanding in the summer.
It does. We move into phase two, deep bonding and intimacy, which aligns with that June 30th transit when Jupiter enters Leo in your 8th house.
So we're back in the 8th house.
We are. If the 5th house in spring was about fun, lighthearted dating, the 8th house in summer is about profound merging, intensity, and transformation. This Jupiter transit forces relationships past the surface level.
And Jupiter expands intimacy here. This is intense. How does this need for psychological and financial sharing impact relationships?
It accelerates the relationship timeline. It demands deeper shared secrets, confronting vulnerabilities, and achieving profound psychological healing through the relationship.
It's the transit of soul bonding.
It is. The willingness to merge finances, move in together, discuss deep fears, that becomes the metric of commitment. If a relationship can't handle this level of merging, it will likely struggle to survive the summer.
But if it passes this test,
The bond forged is exceptionally powerful and enduring, fully supporting that new foundation Saturn requires.
so Capricorn is broadcasting serious vibes and has no patience for games during this phase, and that leads us perfectly into phase 3, the commitment check.
August 11th to September 16th. This is a very specific and telling period because Juno, the asteroid of marriage and partnership equality, moves through Capricorn itself. You're literally wearing the commitment badge.
But Juno starts retrograde, which means the energy is internalized, reconsidered.
Exactly. The retrograde forces an internal reconsideration. You'll be rigorously reviewing your most significant commitments. You might be asking, is this person truly my equal? Do they support the legacy I'm building? Are we equally invested?
So this is when any structural flaws in the relationship, imbalances of power, resources, contribution, they all get exposed.
They do. And this transit forces a highly structured sign like Capricorn to deal with emotional ambiguity, which is, their worst nightmare. But it's necessary.
So when does the clarity finally arrive?
By mid-September, when Juno goes direct, that introspection period ends abruptly. The path becomes clear. You'll have a firm, definitive clarity on the long-term promises you're ready to make or the necessary clean breaks you need to execute.
Speaking of things getting complicated, the year wraps up with friends or lovers, the boundary test. This is October 3rd to November 13th when Venus goes retrograde.
And this is a classic mixed sigils transit. Venus retrograde in your 11th house of friendships in Scorpio blurs the lines between platonic and romantic love. Because Scorpio adds that intensity and secrecy, an intense friend might confess feelings, or you might suddenly realize you have deeper feelings for someone you only saw as a friend. Social life becomes confusing.
This sounds rife with potential drama, especially given Capricorn's focus on building a clear foundation.
It is, particularly because the retrograde briefly pulls Venus back into your 10th house of career in Libra toward the end of October.
So romantic tension could arise with colleagues or even bosses.
Yes. The critical advice here is strict adherence to boundaries. Avoid mixing business with pleasure at all costs, especially if working from home is already making those boundaries porous.
So the data is very clear. Just wait.
Absolutely. Wait until mid-November to make any official relationship status changes. Decisions made during the retrograde often require messy correction later. Use this time to observe and analyze, but delay taking action.
Okay, let's transition to the body and mind, because Capricorn's approach to wellness undergoes one of the biggest long-term transformations of 2026.
It's a complete paradigm shift. It moves away from rigid, traditional routines towards radical innovation and profound psychological well-being.
And it all ties back to that need for a stable base.
Directly.
So we have to start with a quick review of that Iron Man phase, January 1st to 23rd.
Right. That Mars in Capricorn energy is peak physical performance. Highest pain tolerance, fastest recovery. It's the moment to start that challenging weightlifting program or training cycle.
But there's a critical warning here, isn't there? Capricorns are famous for being highly structured, but also ignoring their physical limits.
Yes. Mars in Capricorn can be inherently rigid, and it can cause tension. Capricorn naturally governs the skeletal system, joints, and especially the knees, your classic weak spots.
So if you push hard without flexibility,
You risk stiffness, injury, and chronic tension. The discipline must be immediately balanced with adequate stretching, mobility work, maybe Pilates. Otherwise, the foundation you build in January becomes a source of physical pain later, which Saturn will not approve of.
Okay, so now let's talk about the health revolution. This begins April 25th, when Uranus, the planet of sudden change and disruption, enters Gemini.
And this is your 6th house of health and daily routine. This is the biggest health news of the decade for you. It launches a 7-year cycle.
A 7-year cycle.
It's a radical, fundamental shift. Uranus in the 6th house means that your traditional, conventional methods of diet and exercise will suddenly start to feel boring, ineffective, or just obsolete.
So you might find you suddenly have intolerances to foods you've eaten forever, or your predictable gym routine just isn't cutting it anymore.
Precisely. Your body and mind will crave new stimuli. The strategy here is to embrace unconventional wellness and modern solutions.
And because Gemini rules information and tech, this transit draws Capricorn toward cutting-edge health technology.
Exactly. We are talking about biohacking, incorporating sophisticated wearable fitness tech to track minute biometrics, diving deep into nutritional science, or seeking alternative therapies like cryotherapy or acupuncture. Your body needs novel, intelligent stimuli.
But I want to dig into the primary risk here. What's the downside to all this disruptive energy?
The primary risk is a heightened state of anxiety and nervous tension. Gemini rules the nervous system, and Uranus is fundamentally electrical and fast-paced. This combination literally overstimulates your nervous response.
So you might feel perpetually wired but tired.
Exactly. Pushing hard all day, but you can't shut your mind off at night. This is a direct physical outcome of the planetary energy.
So the solution can't just be more discipline or more high-intensity work.
No. High-intensity workouts need to be immediately balanced with calming, nervous system regulating practices. The focus has to be on discharging that electrical tension.
So things like focused breath work, meditation.
Cold plunges, yes. You have to integrate the revolutionary aspect of Uranus with the grounded requirement of Saturn. Use innovation to achieve fundamental peace. If you don't, the disruption will just manifest as chronic anxiety and insomnia.
And the final piece of this wellness puzzle is the deep cleanse. From June through August, we're back in that Jupiter 8th house energy.
Yes, and while we covered the financial side, the 8th house also governs regeneration and healing. This is a powerful time for psychological healing, for detoxing, and for consciously releasing trauma or stress that has literally been stored in your body.
So it's not just a physical juice cleanse, it's an emotional and psychological purge.
Exactly. The focus shifts entirely from just looking good or hitting a number on the scale to feeling fundamentally whole and regenerated. This period highly favors deep psychological therapy, addressing complex issues around sexual health and true inner transformation.
Wow. So health in 2026 for Capricorn is structured, ambition, technological revolution, and deep emotional purification.
It's a very busy year for the body and mind. requiring careful management of that nervous system.
Okay, we started the year with that professional sprint, earning authority, but we end the year with a crucial strategic timeout. The final months are about protecting the reputation you've built.
This is a critical period. Phase 1 is the reputation review from October 3rd to November 13th. Venus retrograde is back, and this time it's impacting your public career sectors.
So you might feel like your professional momentum is stalling, or promotions are on hold.
It's frustrating, but it's a necessary pause.
So what's the best strategic approach for the highly ambitious Capricorn listener during this stall? They won't want to stop working.
This has to be treated as a strategic timeout. Use this time for review and repair, not for aggressive launching. It's excellent for fixing mistakes you made earlier, rethinking your branding, polishing your resume.
So instead of networking with strangers, you should be calling people from your past.
Precisely. Reconnecting with old mentors, past clients, or former bosses is highly favorable. These past relationships can provide invaluable insight or opportunities that were missed before.
And the sources mention a social spending audit. Tell us about that.
Yes, since Venus is moving through your 11th house of social groups, you might realize you're spending substantial money or time on friendships or professional memberships that aren't bringing a meaningful return on investment.
So it's time to ruthlessly review your social budget and stop paying for superficial connections.
Exactly. Identify where you're overextending your resources for professional appearances that just aren't yielding results.
And there's a specific warning for October 25th when Venus retrograde pulls back into Libra.
That's when the retrograde hits your 10th house of career directly. This is when your reputation is most vulnerable. Be exceptionally careful with office politics and public statements. Perception is everything under this transit.
So delay any high-stakes decisions, especially salary negotiations or major announcements, until mid-November.
Wait until the atmosphere clears.
Finally, let's wrap up with the pinnacle and homecoming, the celebratory bookends of the year that acknowledge all this effort.
The first pinnacle moment is June 29th, the full moon in Capricorn. Full moons are moments of culmination and high visibility. This is when a long-term project you launched back in January culminates, bringing the recognition you deserve.
Your public spotlight moment.
It is.
But the data also warns that this is a highly emotional day. Why?
Because the spotlight is shining directly on your personal identity, your first house. You might feel highly emotional and demand recognition or care from a partner or family. This day often acts as a powerful turning point in relationships.
And then, after a year of intense building and strategic audits, we end on December 21st, when the sun enters Capricorn, the true homecoming.
The battery recharges, but it recharges on a much higher capacity. You've spent the year building non-negotiable foundations, mastering complex finances, and redefining your health. By December, you feel genuinely secure, powerful, and clear-headed.
You've achieved the strategic clarity needed to confidently lead the way into 2027, knowing your foundation is truly unshakable.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? This has been a year defined by serious construction. Let's summarize the most critical periods for the Capricorn listener to keep close, when to push and when to pause.
Okay, if you look at the critical periods, the pattern is very clear.
The ultimate power dates for productivity and hustle are right at the start, January 1st to January 23rd, powered by Mars. You have to hit the ground running.
Correct. And the ultimate power dates for external funding, loans, leveraging, and investment breakthroughs are in the summer, June 30th when Jupiter shifts, and that net worth culmination on August 12th.
And the major non-negotiable structural shifts that redefine the next few years.
Saturn demanding a stable home foundation starts February 13th, and that defines your next 2.5 years. Secure your base first. Then Uranus disrupting your health routine begins April 25th, kicking off that 7-year cycle of unconventional wellness.
And finally, the caution period, when to protect that hard-earned reputation.
October 3rd through November 13th. Protect your reputation, avoid office politics, and ruthlessly review every costly commitment or social group. It's the strategic pause you need before the year ends.
The discipline that Capricorn establishes in 2026, it really forms the bedrock of their next professional and personal era. This isn't just a year of massive growth. It's a year of constructing an unshakable legacy where structure serves freedom.
Indeed. And given the intense traditional focus on building a stable home foundation, thanks to Saturn, and the simultaneous demand for radical, cutting-edge health technology, thanks to Uranus, the ultimate paradoxical question for you to mull over is this.
What's that?
How can you successfully integrate biohacking, wearable fitness tech, and other unconventional health measures into the profound traditional need for an organized, peaceful, and solid home sanctuary?
Bridging that gap between ancient stability and futuristic innovation.
That is the ultimate structural challenge that will define your lasting success in 2026.
A great challenge to end on. Thank you for this deep analysis.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Horoscope TV. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the show so you don't miss the next forecast. Can't wait for the next episode? You don't have to. Get more astrology insights and read your daily horoscope right now at horoscope.tv. That's horoscope.tv. We'll see you in the next episode.